Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanyatrambake Gauri Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samsthita. Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha. Om Aim Reem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 22nd of June 2025. I want to offer my prostrations, Anantakoti Namaskara, to all the great sages and to Bhagwan Paramatma residing in the Hridaya Akash, in the heart space of every being and in all places at all times. Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam. We're continuing to examine the ninefold devotion, Navadha Bhakti, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam. What are the 9 forms? They are Shravanam, Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Ātma-Nivedanam. So we are this month contemplating on, by the grace of the Lord and the sages, what is Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti? Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti is the process of 100% giving over, surrender. It is the culmination of the initial 8 steps, 8 stages of bhakti. It culminates into Ātma-Nivedanam, where the bhakta surrenders completely the body, the mind, and the Atma, everything we are, everything, every iota of energy is completely and surrendered to the will of God, holding back nothing at all. See how incredible this is. We have our own will that has been granted by the Supreme Tattva in the evolution of the cosmos. This body is there, the Jivatma is there, and there is will. Will meaning freedom. Certain amount of freedom is given to us. We can use that freedom for 3 basic purposes. Let's be very clear. In life, we have 3 ways we can use this freedom. One way is we can live just like an animal. Just like an animal, eating, sleeping, reproducing, Vishaya Bhog, using intelligence to earn some money here and there. And that's at the animal level. And that's, if somebody wants to live like that, up to that point only, then that is Pashu. That is the Pashu level. Now, we are obviously more than a Pashu. We are an animal, there's no doubt, just like any other animal. But we are not just an animal with that limitation. We have the capacity to use our intelligence, our buddhi, our will, our brain, our capacity for much greater development, and that is what we have done in the history of humanity. We dominate the whole planet. We're not stronger than many other animals, but our intelligence is stronger. That is why human civilization dominates the whole world. All right, we understand that part. But now let's take it even further. Even though our intelligence is dominating the entire world, we are still within our aham bhav, our ahankar. That's why human beings have conflict with each other. The reason for conflict, dislike, hatred, divisiveness, etc., is because we have not recognized, not realized how to come out of our animal instinct yet. And it's even worse than animal instinct, because animals generally don't kill their own kind. We as human beings, historically and today, and it will be also in the future, I'm sure, we wind up killing our own species. How terrible, how horrific is this? This is an indication of being less than animal. It's not even at the animal level. So that same capacity God has given us to reach Paramatma, to reach Bhagwan, is being used to go below the animal level. Think about this. Animals don't take drugs, they don't smoke cigarettes, they don't drink alcohol, they don't do terrible things to each other, they don't build bombs and destroy each other. Where did this all come from? This is intelligence, right? Intelligence used to only harm each other. This is where there's a clear indication that the Buddhi Tattva that is given by Paramatma is being used out of the Ahankar to just expand the ego. And when that happens, there is destruction, wars, problems, hatred, conflict, divorces. It just goes on. Conflicts at every level. And they continue to go on. So again, that's going to go on. It's not going to stop just like that. So remember, one who is a bhakta, it's a very big thing. He's gone beyond that animal level. Actually, there's a level between the animal level and the bhakta level. That is manushya level. Human level. Just to come to human level. Human level means ahimsa paramo dharmaha. If all of human beings came to human level, all the wars, conflicts, hatred, the damage we're doing to each other, that will stop. That means we're not even at human level. We have a human body, but most human beings are not even at human level. They're less than animal level. So they need to learn from the animals, actually. Okay, now, having said that, anyway, that is that. But those who have realized this can then come to that point of dharma. Dharma means right actions at the right time for the benefit of all. That is called dharma. Dharma gneyo sadacharaha shruti smriti prapaditan. The shrutis and smritis, the entire Sanatana Dharma, is a fantastic lineage of very evolved sages, contemplative individuals, enlightened beings who have brought out by the will of Paramatma, Bhagavan, what is dharma. And dharma is the right action physically, mentally, and verbally. Dharma has three components. Dharma doesn't mean religious affiliation. Somebody will say Christian dharma, Muslim dharma, Hindu dharma. That people are using that word that way. That is not its meaning. It's a totally wrong use of that word. The word dharma doesn't mean religious affiliation. It doesn't mean sectarianism at all. It means sat acharan. In Gujarati we would say the right action. Shikshapatri mein Maharaj kehte hai. Shriji Maharaj. What is dharma? What is dharma is that which is the right action physically, bodily wise, mentally and verbally. Man, karma, vachan. Right action in the right circumstance, in the right amount, for the right purpose, towards the right person or situation, without ahankar or without selfish motive. That is dharma. How difficult that is. And without dharma of this type, bhakti can never be realized. We might be doing bhakti. We cannot even have bhakti until this happens. See how relevant it is. Now, please understand, that doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing our regular sadhanas and all. That's not what that means. But for real bhakti, original bhakti, prema bhakti, rasa bhakti, madhurya bhakti, dasatva bhakti, all these bhaktis to actually evolve from the inside of the heart, dharma is a foundation to protect the purity of bhakti. Otherwise, bhakti would not be protected. That's why people don't realize God. Why is it that everybody doesn't become like Shankaracharya ji or Ramakrishna Paramhans or great sages? Why is that? when every human being has the capacity? Why is it that we don't reach that level? Because of the lack of dharma. The right kinds of action. Now let's go into that just a little bit more. Physical action, physical activity. When we are using this physical body to interact with other people, interact with the sense objects also, is it being done in the light or through dharma? Let's look at some examples. Let's take just today. Who are we going to interact with? Doesn't matter. We might interact with, let's say, 15, 20 people today, for example. Is the interaction with each person done through the guidance of dharma? This is the sadhana for today. We can ask ourselves this question. So, if Sachin is to ask this question, the interaction with another person would be with what bhav, with what feeling, with what understanding? That first of all, do not look at the other person in a divisive, negative, hateful, or with some negative emotion. Doesn't matter who they are. That is the very foundation. So even the mental capacity for ahimsa means non-violence, but it means more than that. It means no negativity inside the mind towards all those who are coming in our contact. To live that way, to be aware of that, to hold that dharma inside. And then the right amount of speech, the right kind of speech that doesn't cause harm to somebody else or to yourself or to others, that kind of speech is spoken in the right way, in the right amount, at the right time. See what is involved in this. This type of activity performed towards those who we are interacting with, it allows us to remain free internally, so that that freedom is available for bhakti. Bhakti cannot actually evolve from inside without the foundation of dharma. Because it will be distorted, it will get contaminated, it will spin around inside vasanas. Sometime we might be very devoted, and then give it a few more hours, whole mind flips in some other direction. Somebody says something, some situation comes up, and it just starts spinning. So bhakti needs to be protected. It's a protection. So dharma, Jnana and Vairagya protect bhakti. We've been saying that for the last many years. Now, this same point, I'm going to try to present this in a little different way today. I'm going to show you a screen share shot here. Give me just a moment. So this is actually from Carl Jung. Carl Jung was a great psychologist. If you're using your phone, you can turn the phone horizontally so you can see the screen better. Very good. Yeah, there you go. That should be a little bit easier for you to see. That's fine. And so in psychological terms, this is called, this ability to integrate bhakti and jnana and vairagya and all, this integration inside is called transcendent function by Carl Jung. It is the integrative capacity of the psyche to reconcile conscious and unconscious elements into a new unity. You see the sentence? It's right there. Take a look at that sentence very carefully. And if you are live online, this is actually very good for you to see this actually. Again, integration inside. This is where the dharma concept comes into the picture. When we are aligned inside, reconciling conscious and unconscious elements into a new unity, this is where the ego must surrender its monopoly on identity to allow the emergence of a deeper self. The emergence of a deeper self with a capital S, that is the Atma. So the Atma Tattva, it begins to reveal itself because the Ahankar, that is causing all of this damage to dharma and interactive difficulty, it surrenders, the ego surrenders its monopoly on identity. This is our sadhana. This is our sadhana. We can try to do this today. We want to make this very practical and applicable. I'm making that in bold and I'm underlining it for you here. Right? So the ego must surrender its monopoly on identity. What is that? I mean, what is that actually? Monopoly means total control over identity. I am Sachin, these are my thoughts, these are my desires, these are my vasanas, this is who I am, etc. All that identity that has been developed inside. It is holding on to that. That total surrender of the identity is Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi means I am Brahman. Now watch the I. The I is not this ego I. The I is the Atman. But the I, the Ahankar, is now resonating with Brahman. Brahman is super consciousness, pure consciousness, Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. It is aligned with that Atma Tattva that we actually are. But that alignment, realignment of the ego and the surrender of its monopoly on identity, this surrender of this identity are the first 8 stages in Navadha Bhakti. Right? So those first 8 stages bring us to this point of the ego surrendering its monopoly on identity. Smaranam, Padasevanam. Amazing bhaktis are there. These are first 8. Remembering Bhagavan's form, God's akar, divya akar. Just yesterday, with one of my friends, I was at the Mahaganapati temple. They were doing Abhishekam and all the different puja and all that. For example, if you're a worshipper of Ganeshji, as an example, Bhagwan Ganeshji ka akar meaning form. Remember the form. See, this is smaranam. We do darshan of the, in the temple. Then when we sit for dhyan, remember again. Sit in front of the murti and do dhyan of the murti. Look at the murti without blinking. And then blink a little bit at a time. Bring the murti inside. This is all part of smaranam. Bhagwan ka jo akar hai, then activities and instructions. Bhagwan Krishna ke jo activity hai, for example, that is charitra. Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures talk about charitra. This is all part of smaranam. You see, so these beautiful stages, I'm not going to repeat all of those 8 here. I'm just giving quick reminder only. Archanam is there, Padasevanam, Vandanam. These are big things. These are massive areas. We've covered to some extent already these 8. Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam. All of these are preparation as we do them, because we need to do them deliberately, consistently. That is our sadhana. Even if it is done just with the sense of I am doing that, that's okay in the beginning. It's perfectly all right. It's better to do it even with the I rather than not to do it with the I. But eventually, as we progress in the 8 types of bhakti, Vandanam, Dasyam, Smaranam, the internal link with the Lord, with the Ishtadevata, with Paramatma increases. And it reaches the point of ego surrender. Ego must surrender its monopoly on identity. The identity changes. Yes, Sachin still remains Sachin, the memories, feelings, everything still remains. But this identity becomes a identity of a bhakta, meaning that the bhakti is coloring the identity. It's like if you have a white t-shirt, completely white t-shirt, and you dye it with the color red. What happens now? What do we call it? We call it a red t-shirt. So the identity is further enhanced. The cotton is just the cotton. It was colorless. But now it has been dyed. But what if you have a t-shirt that already has all mixed colors? Can you remove the color? Maybe through some bleach chemical process. Remove all the color and then dye it the way you want. It's just like that, folks. It's just like that. Let's stop with this example here. Very simple example. Our antakarana, our manovritti is already colored by raga, dvesha, aham, mamatva, with the objects of the world, the people of the world. It is colored with that. But that's not who we are. Just like the color of the t-shirt is different from the t-shirt, and it can be removed through proper process and bring it back to no color. Similarly, the antakarana and all of the material that is coloring it, you can separate it. That separation process is what Vivek Chudamani is all about. Viveka means that separation. Now, that separation doesn't mean that our memories and our feelings and our brain is somehow separated, put away. So it's not like it remains, but it remains where it needs to remain. It doesn't come into the purview of the Atma. It doesn't get mixed. That mixture between Atma plus the coloring of the Antakarana is called Jivatma. And when we separate that out, Atma minus the coloring of the Antakarana is called the luminous Atma, Sat Chit Ananda. Yes, that is self-realization. So the luminosity of the Atma Tattva, Brahma Tattva, it comes out when the color of the Antakarana is separated out, and then it is recolored. This is interesting. Then it is recolored by Navadha Bhakti, 9 forms of devotion. That is recoloring. So the Antakarana is now brimming with this beautiful flowering of 9 forms of devotion. And in that state, yes, functionally, whatever was part of our life, the old material that was there, it remains where it is. It remains in memory. See, like when Patanjali said, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, he didn't say that the Chitta Vritti is you're destroying your mind. The word Nirodha doesn't mean destruction. This is the second Yoga Sutra. It doesn't mean destruction of the mind. It means that one is able to leave that old conditioning where it is. Leave it alone. And if you need to take something from there, we can take something from there. But you leave it alone. That is called Chitta Vritti Nirodha, and that is the definition of yoga. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is the second Yoga Sutra. There's 196, maybe you can, sometimes they say 200 Yoga Sutras are there. They're small aphoristic statements, and this is the second one. Or sometimes they say it's the first one. Right? So, our Antakarana, meaning the internal mental mechanism, is recolored, retuned, infused with all 9 forms of devotion, moving throughout the day. They keep changing from one to the other, one to the other, one to the other. And that way, the entire Antakarana, the Manovritti, is given over to Paramatma while performing activity. Yes, we perform all kinds of activity, but it is performed in the light of the 9 forms of devotion, in the light of Ātma-Nivedanam. And when activity is performed that way, then we are free. Moment to moment, we can be free. Moment to moment, there is the immediate effect of this is that there is a very steady and highly energetic mind, energetic body, mind, everything is aligned. Everything is where it should be. That is the immediate. And then through that, through the 9 forms of devotion, we are able to see the world, the outside world in the Jagrat Avastha through the lens of that bhakti. And then we can easily see what is Maya. Right? To detect what is Maya, it's a big question. We cannot understand what is Maya. But when we are infused with bhakti from inside, And then we are seeing the outside world and our own inner world. We can easily detect what is Maya and recognize it for what it is, leave it alone, and continue our connection towards Bhagavan. That is how Maya is separated out. The entanglements are separated out, and the grace of Devi is such, she will release the individual. She said, okay, you separate this thing out. And so all the Shakti goes into Bhakti. All the Shakti goes into Jnana, into Vairagya, into Dharma, into higher realization. It is no longer dispersed and torn apart inside the three gunas of Maya, particularly Rajas and Tamas, that they are just shattering the Shakti from inside. That's why in the Gita, Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha, Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyayena Iha Vairinam. That the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, these things, this is damaging the Antakarana. So all of that stops, and we are then going to reach the Ātma-Nivedanam. And then what is life like? Just one final point. Day to day, the three avasthas continue, Jagra, Swapna, Shushupti. There is steadiness, freedom. There is so much joy that opens by this link that it doesn't happen right away. That's why we have to start with these initial 8 steps and then develop that slowly, that ananda begins to develop. The sukham in the sansar is a short-lived only. It has a lot of dukh. Sukh and dukh, they are combined together. It is mixed inside. This sansar. It's like having a nice gallon of milk and putting, 2 tablespoons of mud inside there and then drinking that milk. That is this sansar. Running after the enjoyments of the world is like drinking fresh milk, pasteurized milk from Wawa or Acme, and you come home and you put 2 tablespoons of dirt inside there and then mix it all up and then drink it. This is called sansar. You see? And to drink that milk without all that dirt, without all that trash, without any poison inside there, without all the other mixture, that is called bhakti. Very simple. Just from the gallon of milk we can learn everything. How simple is that? How beautiful is that? That we can drink milk which is pure, not expired, which is pasteurized, which is at the right temperature, which doesn't have any pollutant inside there. There's no bacteria swimming inside there. There's no bugs inside there. Think about that. Can you imagine having a glass of milk with 10 bugs inside? Would you drink it? This sansar is like this. Yes, sansar is this glass of milk with bugs and earthworms and everything. Yes, sansar aisa hai. To try to find happiness in the sansar is this massive agnan. And to not bring that inside the heart, that is 9 forms of devotion. This klesh, rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, mera, tera, chal, kapat, ye sab standard list of all these problems. These are like worms and bugs and crocodiles or whatever it is, the different animals or bugs that are inside that purity. Earthworms. Can you imagine the 100 earthworms inside a glass of milk? Would you drink it? So to keep attachment towards this sansar is like that. And to completely remove the mind away from this kind of trash in the sansar is called vairagya. And that vairagya plus dharma, plus the jnanam that the Brahman is real, with that bhakti becomes undisturbed. That is how bhakti can reach God. Bhakti touches God that way. And God comes to us, Bhagavan comes to us in this way, not with all of the pollutants inside the heart. No way. The mandir is what? We are the mandir. Mandir means temple. We need to become the temple where God can reside. And this is the process of bhakti. With that, lots of prayers for everybody's good health and good wealth. May all progress well. Sarvetra sukhina santu, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukhamapnuyat, sarva jiva hitavaha. May this wisdom be available for all human beings on this planet, so we may learn what is dharma, what is jnana, what is bhakti. With that, closing mantra is here. Om Dhyanamulam Gurur Murte Mantramulam Gurur Vakyam Pujamulam Gurur Padam Mokshamulam Gurur Kripa Tameva Mata Chapita Tameva Bandusha Saka Tameva Vidya Dravinam Tameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Aim Reem Klim Chamundai Vicha Om Glom Hum Klim Jumsa Jwalaya Jwala Parajvala Aim Reem Klim Chamundai Viche Jwalaham Sam Lam Ksham Phat Swaha Om Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha Om Shri Durga Arpanamastu Om Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Hrim Swaha.